decades ago, he slaughtered babysitters and took out an entire hospital. And we would soon get sequel after sequel. Then in 1998, Hollywood did something never done before. Canceling them all out, all prior sequels. And this October, they did it again. Halloween 2018, the one that picks up right after the first one. What up, party peoples? Bobo here with BrassReel Brothers. Thanks for coming back for some more popcorn. So my last Halloween video was Halloween 6, and I'm jumping to 2018 Halloween so I can do Halloween Kills, since Halloween Kills is still freshly released. But I am going to do H2O and Resurrection after these two. Like I said, just doing them a little out of order. And it kind of doesn't matter either, because Halloween H2O did the same thing that Halloween 2018 did, except it erased the sequels after part 2. It still kept part 2 in the canon. But anyways, we'll get back to that. Halloween 2018, directed by David Gordon Green and written by him and Danny McBride, is a direct follow-up to Halloween 1978. But it takes place 40 years later, which I think is pretty dope. I really like the direction they went with this. Because Halloween H2O, it was just missing elements and it felt like a different movie than part 1. Halloween 2018 literally feels like it's connected to the Halloween 1978 movie. I mean, really well connected. And if you've only seen this movie one time, if you watch it again, you might start picking up on all the little nuances here and there that are from the 1978 film. Some of the names they're using or referring to, some of the people. David Gordon Green just did a really good job with this movie of really making a great continuation from the original film. It feels like the most Halloween movie outside of Halloween 1978, if that makes any sense. But most of all, it just feels like the original. The music and everything, which the music is done by John Carpenter and his son and a couple of other people, but you can feel that the original composer is a part of it while it brings something new to the table as well. So it starts out with this journalist podcasting duo that are just curious about Michael Myers and the whole legacy. And they go to the mental hospital and start talking to this new doctor who's in charge of Michael. Because Sam Loomis has passed at this point, but he was like Sam Loomis's understudy. But right off, you're seeing that he's just as into Michael Myers as Sam Loomis was. And there's that whole scene you see in the trailer where the podcasters are holding up the mask behind Michael, where they're standing on that like huge checkerboard outside. All that's great leading into this introduction credit scene where you've got this pumpkin that's like reviving from being all rotten. It's just reverse decomposing. And something I didn't notice before, but somebody told me about and I checked it out and they were right. And it's even the original 1978 Halloween credit intro, is when they're zooming in on the pumpkin, look at the eye of the pumpkin. That's like a shape of the shape with a knife. Michael Myers with a knife. Ah! It's pretty dope. I can't believe I never realized that before or even knew about it. Oh, I do have to say, one of the little weird complaints about this movie, and I just have a couple and they're tiny, but the guy that had the mask, the podcaster, he says that he got it like from a friend at the DEA or the CIA or something like that. It's like, they don't just give out evidence like that from a mass murderer. Anyways, I can look past it. The beauty about Laurie Strode's character in this one is that she's been affected by what happened to her in 1978 so much that she hasn't really been able to live a normal life. She's got a family, which her daughter's played by Judy Greer, perfect casting, and then there's a granddaughter, Allison. And it pretty much focuses on the fact that they're an estranged family due to Laurie's paranoia. She's just worried that something's gonna happen and Michael's gonna come back. And you got some other big names in there. You got Will Patton as the sheriff. But since Laurie is all paranoid, she lives out in this crazy bunker that's all isolated. She made this badass house. She's got all these traps and gadgets. And it shows her being a badass too. She's firing rifles at all these different targets and mannequins she's got set up on her property. She's just waiting and ready for Michael. And the podcasters end up finding her house and try to bribe her to talk about it and give her some money. And it just depicts the fact that she's really, really struggling with this still internally, which I like that a lot. I didn't like the way they depicted her in H2O, this like woman that's leader of the Catholic school and everything. I don't know. I just didn't buy it. But they do a good job in this movie actually of setting you up with the characters and getting you comfy with the characters. Like I said, Laurie's daughter and her family, Allison, which is Laurie's granddaughter, she's got a boyfriend and they've all got friends. You're just getting cozied up with them. Just some exposition so you can actually care about the people in the movie. In fact, there's not a whole lot of crazy violence or anything depicted until about 30 minutes into the film when we get the transferring of Michael Myers. Which, by the way, why do they transfer Michael Myers in all these movies on Halloween night? They did it in part 1, they did it in part 4, now they're doing it in this one? I know, it's gotta be on Halloween. And of course, Michael's bus crashes and he escapes. But I will say that the reason that the crash happened, which you find out in a minute, is actually pretty good and I can buy it. One of the great things about this movie when you're watching it though that's a lot of fun is there's just tons of tributes to the entire franchise throughout the film. Little things like, you remember in the first one when Laurie is looking out the window and she sees Michael? Well, in this one, like, Laurie's replacing Michael in a lot of different scenes where Allison's at school, she's looking out the window and she's seeing Laurie because Laurie's like worried and keeping an eye on everybody, and Halloween is a day of the year that she can't stand. But it incorporates all kinds of cool characters from the 1978 film just through some dialogue or people referencing things here and there.
I know Lonnie, I went to high school with him. He used to sell me peyote.
But just in a way, like I said, that makes it feel connected. Also, something I really like too, something they've never done before, and they call Michael the Shape in the movie.
I saw him. The Shape.
Nice little fan service there. Basically, after a failed graduation dinner for Allison that Laurie shows up too drunk because she's all freaking out that Michael's gonna get loose, we find out about Karen's upbringing, Laurie's daughter, and how she had just lived a paranoid life her entire life because of her mom being paranoid, so she was training her with guns and all that kind of stuff as a kid. So remember, I said this movie doesn't really have a whole lot of violence till about 30 minutes in. Well, it starts to get some violence, but they're all like off-screen kills, just kills we stumble upon by somebody else stumbling on them or we see it. We do see Michael choke that kid in the back seat. Yeah, I guess Michael kills kids. But I just think it's really cool that the way he's leaving a trail of bodies until we actually see Michael get the mask at this gas station that shows up later on that the journalist just happened to be at. And right there, it's an immediate homage to part 4 when they're at the gas station. Then it's an immediate homage to H2O when they're inside the bathroom at the gas station. But now we start to get to see some on-screen kills and get to see the brutality of Michael. And once that mask goes on, that trunk scene where he's getting the mask out of the trunk, then the movie changes from then on out. Michael's kills are brutal, you see it, it's awesome. Probably one of the coolest parts of the film though is when Michael's walking out amongst all the trick-or-treaters and the camera's just sort of following him in that one shot, which is a huge homage to part 2. Because in part 2, they follow Michael behind this house and he's going by this garage and he walks into this house and there's a lady in a pink robe and her husband's watching the Night of the Living Dead. And that's where Michael gets his knife. Or in this one, he's just going down this alleyway, same feel, same look. He gets a hammer, goes in the kitchen, finds the lady with the pink robe, and just annihilates her. But what's really cool about this shot is that it starts from when he's on the street and he just follows him the whole way through there, kills her, follows him out of the house to where he keeps on going outside, sees all these other people, a man and wife dressed up as a nurse and doctor for Halloween, and then he just goes straight into this other house while looking in this window, walks around the window, comes in and then kills this girl in front of the window, all done in one take, and it is fabulous. Awesome job, David Gordon Green. And not only is there the Halloween 2 homage right there, but then there's an homage to Halloween 3 of all these little kids running around in the green witch costume and the pumpkin head and the skull head.
Happy, happy Halloween, silver shamrock.
When I first saw this movie in the theater, I was like, yeah, this is pretty good. I really thought they did a good job of it. But every time I rewatch it, it gets exponentially better and higher in my book. To this point, I love this movie. Like I said, the more and more I watch it, the way better it gets, and it just really fits into that franchise of the first film. David Gordon Green and Danny McBride knocked it out the park. But basically the point of this movie is that the doc is trying to get Michael to Laurie's house. The doc is actually a little obsessed with Michael, so much to where he wants to see what happens when he reignites her with Laurie, to see if there's something there. So there's been all this confusion over the years. Is he her brother? Is he not her brother? Look, Michael is not her brother. Michael is just out there to kill, and he just gets put back on the track towards her by this crazy doctor. They take some choices with the doctor at first that I was kind of on the fence about, but the more and more I watch it, I like it. All the kills are great in it though. They're not over the top kills. They're brutal, but they're not way over the top so much to where it's just like, damn, but they're good. And I like it that way because it just makes it feel real. And it maintains that connection to the first film. And remember, the first movie didn't even have any blood in it. And they got a pair of cops in this movie that actually are funny. Remember the cops that are in part 5 that were just ridiculously bad with that stupid clown music?
All clear.
Nothing above, nothing below.
These cops are actually good in the movie. I like them. And again, I could see the homage he was trying to pay to part 5.
Oh, fresh brownie. Okay.
Chocolatey homemade brownie. I made that myself.
That's like what a 5-year-old would eat if they could make their own lunch.
So Allison, the granddaughter, is sort of like the young Laurie in the 1978 movie in this movie. All of her friends are getting killed. She's got Michael chasing her now. And the way all of her friends get killed are great, especially that blonde girl and her boyfriend. And those are homage kills to the original movie. They're just manipulated in a weird way, like with the sheet and with the knife into the wall. And then that whole closet scene where she's checking in the closet and then she opens the door and Michael's in there. Awesome! Boogeyman in the closet! Oh, and I gotta talk about the little kid that the blonde girl's babysitting.
I heard you telling your friends to come over here and you're gonna smoke some weed.
No.
That Alakazam?
That little kid is hilarious. I think everybody agrees they loved him as soon as they saw him in the film. And I think probably one of the creepiest moments in the film for me is when one of her guy friends with the curly hair that's wearing that devil costume, he's sort of like the comic relief of the film. Man, when he's in the middle of the yard, Michael's just sitting there and he thinks it's the yard's owner, and then the lights keep going on and off, and then he impales him on that gate. Yeah, you fuck him up, Michael. The one kill that I really don't like is the way the Doc gets killed. Michael smashes his head with his foot. Now, that's fine, but the way they show this head exploding, it's just like somebody stepped on a pumpkin or a watermelon. I mean, it just literally, there's just no head would explode like that. I just think that it could have been a little laid back on that one. But ultimately, it's all lured back to Laurie's house, and Michael's there, and there's this showdown there that's badass. He gets his fingers blown off by this shotgun, but Michael's just unstoppable. And remember, Laurie's got this whole house that she's set up to sort of like be a trap here and there, but you don't realize how much of a trap until it all happens. They lure him down into this bottom basement area. I love the way that Karen's acting like she's freaked out and she's scared, and all of a sudden Michael shows his face and she's like,
"Help us! I can't do it! I'm sorry, I can't do it!"
Gotcha. Happy Halloween, Michael.
so badass. And just the way it ends with the music and everything burning, I love it because they burn Michael down in the house. And when they're running out of the house, Michael is just standing there down in the basement watching him as he's burning. However, it shows a picture from inside the basement one more time. Michael's not standing anywhere. And then of course, after the credits go up completely, you just hear a little bit of breathing behind the mask a little bit. Obviously, we knew there's gonna be a sequel. Oh yeah, one more cool thing they do before they burn the house down is they do a little balcony reversal thing. In the first movie, Michael got shot and went off the side of the balcony, disappeared. And in this movie, Jamie flies off the balcony and then disappears. Just thought that was really cool. Again, obvious Easter egg homage. Ultimately, I was super satisfied with this movie when I first saw it, but now I love it. I think it's a great addition to the original story that John Carpenter laid out for us, and I thought Halloween Kills was a great addition to that. I'll be having that video coming out next. So Halloween 2018, I give an A+. Well, that'll do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for clicking on it. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it. Look for BrassReel Brothers on Facebook. Look for Bobby Williams on Facebook. And look for BrassReel Brothers on Twitter. And if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button so you can help us make it to the top. And as always, if life gives you lemons, make some hot, fresh popcorns. Ah!